Hey friends, and welcome back to the Untold story, where history whispers and forgotten lives come gently back to life. Tonight, you're not just learning about ancient Egypt, you're breathing it in. One forbidden glance, one flicker of incense, one whispered charm beneath a linen sheet at a time. But before we slip through the sands of desire, shame, and ancient spells, take a quiet moment to like this video and subscribe. But only if you truly enjoy slow, immersive journeys into the parts of history that no textbook dares to touch. And let me know in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is for you. It's always incredible to see how many of us are drawn together by the soft hum of curiosity across time zones and centuries. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a soft fan for that steady background lull. Let your eyes get heavy and your thoughts grow still. Tonight's story begins not with a king or a god, but with you, a whisper beneath the linen. You are not in the palace, you are not in the temple, you are beneath a linen sheet, staring at the cracks in the ceiling, wondering whether the thing you felt last night was love or something the priest warned you about. You wake up before the sun does. The air is heavy, but not with heat, not yet. It's the kind of stillness that holds its breath, as though even the walls are waiting. You blink slowly. The linen above your body shifts slightly in the breeze from the tiny window slit in the wall. You're not alone in the room, though no one speaks. You feel her breath before you hear it. It's your wife, or your lover, or a woman you were matched with because your mother once exchanged herbs with hers. She's still asleep, facing the wall, her spine curved like a sickle moon. Her skin smells like crushed date and ashes from last night's oil lamp. The smell of sleep, of silence. There is no privacy here. Not in this one-room house. Not in this city made of baked dust and whispered bargains. Not even in your own thoughts. And yet for a moment, this bed, this narrow mat of reed and worn linen, is the most private place in all of Egypt, until the whisper comes. It's not a voice. Not exactly. It's the memory of a voice, older than you, older than your father, older than the bricks of this house. A whisper that hides in the folds of every bed linen, in the shadows between two mouths that once kissed and now don't speak. The ancients believed that desire was a spirit, that it could enter you through your ears, your eyes, or the back of your throat, that it had wings, that it could fly between lovers even after death, that a single glance, a gaze that lingers one heartbeat too long, could birth a curse. You were warned as a boy, don't look too long, don't touch without salt, don't speak the names of old gods after sunset. But you did, everyone does, and now you feel it again. That pulse, that shift in the air between bare shoulders, that soft ache in the gut that isn't hunger. It's something older, something magical, or dangerous. Or both. You sit up slowly. The mat creaks beneath you. No one stirs. You glance toward the corner of the room where a figure of Hathor, goddess of love and music and wine, watches silently. She's cracked. Someone, maybe you, once painted her lips red. Now the pigment is faded, but her eyes still gleam in the half-light, watchful, knowing. She's been here through every argument, every embrace, every quiet night of turning away. She says nothing, but she remembers everything. You rise, step over the edge of the mat, and walk barefoot across the packed earth floor. The wall is cool to the touch. For now. Later it will radiate heat like a furnace. You pass the shelf where the love amulet rests, a small stone carved in the shape of two entwined fish. Your mother gave it to you on your wedding day. She said it was once dipped in lotus water during a full moon. You don't know if that's true. You don't know if any of it is. But you've never dared throw it away. You pour a little water from the jar. Splash your face. The water is warm and smells slightly metallic. You imagine the silt of the Nile still clinging to your cheek. You hope it will take last night's dream with it. The one where your wife had the face of a cat and whispered a name you didn't recognize. You never remember the name, just the feeling, want and worry tangled together. Outside, the world is stirring. A neighbor coughs, a pot clinks. Somewhere, a baby cries. Loud, urgent, like a prayer. But inside, the room is still thick with the echoes of what wasn't said. You look back toward the bed. She hasn't moved, or maybe she's pretending not to. You don't speak, neither does she. You both know the rules. In the daylight, love is a duty. At night, it is a danger. And in the in-between, in this moment, between linen and light, it is a secret with teeth. The house of women and its secrets. You leave your mat as the air shifts. Not with wind, but with the quiet rhythm of women already awake. In this house, the morning begins not with roosters, but with whispers, with the smell of crushed herbs, with the weight of tradition pressing against the walls like steam. Your mother doesn't look at you when she speaks. "Wash your hands," she says, as if the words have been waiting since yesterday. You obey. The clay basin is chipped, its water dark with natron and wilted petals. Your fingers sting. That's how you know it's working. Today is a cleansing day, not just for your skin, but for your heart, your intentions, and the space between your thoughts. These days are sacred, and in this house they are enforced by silence and repetition. Your sister is seated in a patch of morning light, braiding her hair with focused fingers, not for style, not for beauty, for protection. "They get caught in tangles," she said once, when you asked why. The restless spirits, the wandering thoughts, the unwanted touches. On her lap, a clay jar of powdered malachite. She paints her eyelids in careful strokes. The green lines catch the sunlight and make her look like a priestess or a warrior. Maybe both. She notices you watching. "You can look," she says. "You just can't understand." You nod. She's right. Understanding isn't given. It's earned. And this house doesn't give anything for free. There's a space in the back, behind a reed curtain that moves even when there's no breeze. The women call it the shadow room. It's not a secret, but it's not explained either. Your aunt keeps her scroll fragments there. Papyrus too thin to write government accounts on, too precious to burn. They contain symbols you don't recognize, words you've heard only in dreams, a few lines you once copied onto your arm and quickly washed away, afraid they might work. You asked your aunt once, "Are they spells?" She only smiled. "Everything's a spell if you say it with breath." A bundle of herbs hangs near the threshold. Basil, crushed garlic, blue lotus leaves, wrapped in red string and linen. Your mother touches it every time she enters the room. Sometimes she whispers to it. Sometimes she spits near it. You don't ask why. Your grandmother used to do the same. So did hers. On the opposite wall is a mark, 7 lines meeting at the center, like a star or a flower or a warning. You've traced it with your fingertip more than once, always when no one was looking. At midday, your cousin arrives. She is beautiful in a way that makes silence follow her. She places a small alabaster jar on the floor, just beside the hearth. She doesn't open it. The smell leaks out anyway. Lotus, cinnamon, and something darker. She leans in close to your mother and whispers, "For seduction and safety." Your sister chuckles. "Isn't that the same thing?" No one answers. Later, a young girl comes. Her eyes are wide, her lips pressed shut. She sits on a woven mat while your aunt circles her slowly, placing fingers on the girl's temples, wrists, and belly. "She's been touched," your aunt murmurs, almost to herself, "but not ruined, not yet." A pouch is prepared, fig leaf powder, dried dates, a sliver of obsidian. It's tucked into the girl's sleeve. She doesn't speak as she leaves. You don't know if she'll ever return, but her scent lingers long after. By late afternoon, the house is filled with the low sound of grinding, mortars full of resin, cloth stained with oil, a red dye boiling in a pot with ash and goat milk. Your sister stirs it slowly. She hums a song, Perfume, Power, and palm oil seduction. The air smells different today, heavier, sweeter. Not the smoke of breakfast fires or the sour tang of goat hair and millet. No, this is something older, crafted, intentional. It begins at your cousin's wrist, a flick of scent when she adjusts her shawl, then from your sister's neck, just a whisper of Lotus. The whole house breathes differently now, as if it's waiting for something. Perfume in this world is not indulgence. It is language. It is warning. It is power. Your aunt pulls out her collection, a box carved from acacia wood, the edges darkened from years of handling. Inside are jars, tiny, stoppered with wax and sealed with clay. One contains liquid the color of blood. Another holds pale yellow paste, like honey. One is so dark it drinks the light. Each has a purpose. Amber for desire, she says, touching one. Cedar for truth. Palm oil for skin they can't forget. She opens the palm oil. It's thick, rich, warm, even though it hasn't touched fire. She dips 2 fingers in, rubs it between her palms, and touches the back of her neck. Just once. Always behind the ears, she says. It lingers there longer, and that's where they lean in. You ask her if she wears it for someone. She smiles but doesn't answer. Your sister prefers the Lotus blend, blue and soft, with a shadow of spice beneath it. She dabs it under her arms, behind her knees at the base of her spine. You once asked her why those places. Because that's where people breathe when they're close, she said. Closer than they should be. The scent isn't just for others, it's for herself too. There's a moment right after she applies it where her spine straightens, her chin lifts. She becomes someone else, or maybe someone more herself. Outside in the women's market, you hear talk of the perfumer's apprentice, a boy with nimble hands and sharp eyes. He's said to know more than his master. He collects dew from lotus petals at sunrise, oils from crushed date pits, wax from bees who only feed on myrrh. Some say he mixes scents that can make someone forget their name. Others whisper he once created a perfume so powerful, a temple priest broke his vows to follow the trail of it out into the street. You've never seen him, but sometimes when the breeze is right, you catch something unexpected in the air. Sweet, sharp, impossible. And you wonder. There are rules here. Scent can't be used during mourning. Certain blends are forbidden in temples. If you wear cinnamon oil during childbirth, it's believed the child will speak too soon and too much. Your mother once burned a mixture of oil and ash outside the door after a man came asking questions. She didn't speak to him, but the scent she left behind told him enough. Even men understand this language, though they don't speak it. Later, your aunt prepares a salve. It starts with castor oil boiled low, then crushed petals, then something she won't name. She tests it on her wrist, sniffs, frowns, adds more fig bark. She dips a reed in, paints a line down the inside of her arm. Don't wear this during the full moon, she says. It confuses the gods. You ask what it's for. To keep someone home, she says, then adds, or to make them leave. It depends where you apply it. At dusk, the house is thick with fragrance. Not overwhelming, not floral. It's complicated, bitter under sweet, smoke beneath sugar. There's history in it, memory, warning. You sit near the hearth where oils are cooling. Small bowls line the ledge, some still steaming, others congealed like wax. You dip your finger in one, just to smell it. Don't do that, your cousin says. You freeze. That one's not for love, she adds softly. It's for silence. She doesn't explain further. You wipe your hand on your tunic and say nothing more. At nightfall, your mother lights a stick of resin-soaked wood. The smoke swirls like a veil between rooms. She walks from corner to corner, trailing scent like a line of salt. She doesn't chant. She doesn't pray. She just lets the smoke do what words cannot. You follow its trail with your eyes. It coils around the statue of Bastet, lingers near the reed curtain, drifts into the space where secrets are stored. And you think, this is more than perfume. This is presence. In this house, the air speaks before you do. Here, the world of women is not silent, it's fragrant. And each breath you take tells a story older than words. Power doesn't always arrive with noise. Sometimes it comes in scent. And once you breathe it in, you'll never forget. Virginity, blood, and linen lies. The women's room is quiet. Not because there is nothing to say, but because there are too many things that cannot be spoken. You sit cross-legged on a mat that has seen 100 stories like yours, And none of them ended the way people said they should. In the center of the floor is a basket, woven from date palm fibers, covered in linen. Inside, a folded cloth, pale as bone, stained with rust-colored blotches. Your cousin unwraps it slowly, like revealing a sacred scroll. This, she says, is proof. Not proof of virtue, not of love, proof of survival. In this house, blood speaks louder than words, not the blood of birth or war, but the quiet drop between girlhood and everything after. You were told growing up that it must appear on the wedding night, that it must stain the linen sheet, as visible as a comet in the sky. But everyone in this room knows that bodies don't always work like that. Some women never bleed. Others bleed too much. Some tear. Some don't. Some scream. Some stay silent, holding their breath like a charm. And some never make it to that night at all. Still, the cloth remains, a symbol more binding than law. Not for the men, for the women, for each other. You've heard stories. One girl bled too soon, long before marriage. She smeared pomegranate juice on linen, passed it off as proof. Her mother swore by it. Her husband believed it. Her secret died with her mother. Another girl never bled at all. Her aunt slit a goat's ear and pressed the sheet against it. The mark looked authentic. Her husband praised her modesty. Her aunt never told a soul. In this world, virginity is not a fact. It's a performance, a ritual, a carefully choreographed fiction passed down like a family recipe. Everyone knows, no one says. On the wall of the women's room is a faded painting, too faint to make out clearly. But if you stare long enough, you see a hand. Just a hand. Palm out, fingers spread. Your aunt says it's the hand of Isis, protecting women from the cruelty of men. Your mother says it's just decoration. Your cousin says it doesn't matter. You can believe in magic or you can believe in lies, she says, but they both keep us alive. You ask what happens if the cloth is empty. No blood, no stain, no proof. Your sister answers without looking up. Then you pray they love you enough not to care. There's a drawer locked with a bone pin. Inside, linen scraps soaked in red dye, just in case. Not because anyone plans to deceive, but because the world sometimes demands more evidence than a body can provide. You don't ask to see them. You already know they exist, like extra candles for a blackout or salt lines for storms. It's not deception, it's defense. Later that afternoon, your cousin is preparing for marriage. She's not nervous, just quiet. She's bathed in water scented with myrrh. Her skin glows with oil. Her feet have been scrubbed until they shine like polished clay. And she's been wrapped in linen so white it looks like moonlight. Your aunt places a cloth on the bed. Not the ceremonial one, not yet. Just practice. Just tradition. Your cousin lies down and closes her eyes. Not in rest, in rehearsal. They will tell her what to do, where to look, how to breathe. Not because she doesn't know, but because it's easier that way. When she stands, the cloth is clean, but the room is not. The air is thick with memory. Your mother folds the linen and whispers. If he asks, you smiled. If he doubts, you bled. And if he never questions anything, he's a better man than most. You ask what would happen if there were no cloth at all. Your aunt answers. Then they'd look somewhere else for proof, and women bleed more ways than one. In the evening, you sit beside your sister while she prepares a fresh cloth. She sings as she does it, softly, a lullaby you barely remember. You ask why she's smiling. Because none of this is about men, she says. It's about us, about knowing the story they expect, and telling a better one. She dips the cloth into red wine, just a touch. It spreads like ink. She folds it carefully, as if tucking away a promise. That night, someone laughs in the next room. A child, maybe, or a ghost. Your cousin sleeps with her hand on her belly. Your mother sleeps facing the door. Your aunt leaves the lamp lit, and the cloth waits, silent, folded, sacred. Not a symbol of shame, not a trap, just a tool, a line of defense, a quiet rebellion stitched in white. Secret lovers, shaved heads, and the rules of touch. You're not supposed to know his name. That's the first rule. Not because it's dangerous, but because names are sticky. They cling to memory. They make things real. In this village, people speak in gestures and glances, a hand brushed against a shoulder, a lingering pause at the water jar, a laugh that lasts a beat too long. Everyone sees, no one speaks. And the young man with the scar above his lip, he never looks directly at your cousin, but he always chooses the stall next to hers. He buys things he doesn't need. He drops coins near her feet just to hear her laugh when she scolds him. Your aunt calls him a shadow. Your mother calls him a mistake. Your cousin just calls him that man with bad luck. But her hair was oiled this morning, her tunic freshly washed, and she hasn't stopped humming. They say in old times, priests and scribes used magic to spy on the unfaithful. That hawks with silver eyes flew over homes and whispered secrets to temple walls. That one queen had a mirror that showed her husband's thoughts. That may all be myth, but secrets here are not safe. Not because of magic, but because walls are made of mud and whispers pass through cracks like wind. Still, lovers exist, not in the daylight, not in temples, but in alleyways, behind granaries, in the narrow space between two lives that were never meant to touch. You once saw a woman in the market with her head shaved clean. Her scalp shimmered with oil, and her eyes were lined with kohl. Everyone stared, but not with pity, with respect. "Wife of a priest," your sister whispered. Or, your aunt added, "a woman with nothing left to lose." In some households, women shave their heads before marriage, to show purity. In others, it's punishment for shame. Some do it in mourning, others in rebellion. Hair here is more than hair. It's message, armor, signal, and once it's gone, there's no hiding. Your cousin hasn't shaved her head, but she started wearing more jewelry. Copper bangles, a bit of turquoise. Her sandals tied higher than usual. She says it's for the festival next month, but you know better. So does your sister. So does everyone. At night, your cousin sits near the window longer than she needs to. She braids her hair tighter. She murmurs words into her wrist, the name she won't say out loud, the one that would make everything too real. Your aunt once told you the rules of touch. One hand means curiosity, she said. Two hands mean trouble. You asked what three hands meant. She laughed. Then it's not just your trouble anymore. Touch is currency. A hand on the shoulder can mean alliance. A hand on the lower back can be seduction or threat. The way someone passes you a fig, the way their fingers linger on yours. Those moments are loud even when no one speaks. There are rules, but there are also loopholes. One evening, you see your cousin drop a strip of linen from the roof. It falls near the well. 5 minutes later, it's gone. The next day, a small carved beetle appears on her mat. Not a real one, a gift. Obsidian, smooth edges, hidden message. Your aunt finds it while sweeping. She holds it up. Scarab, she says, symbol of rebirth and trouble. No one claims it. That night, no one sleeps near your cousin. The walls of the women's room have heard every kind of secret. They've absorbed tears, laughter, plans. On one brick, someone carved a heart and scratched it out. On another, a pair of eyes, wide and staring. No one knows who drew them, but every girl has touched them at least once. There's a tiny crack near the doorway, just enough to slip notes through. Someone once left a dried lotus petal wrapped around a hairpin. Another time, a strip of papyrus with the words, "I watched you walk away." Your cousin burned that one without reading it. Later that week, someone sees her near the granary after sunset. Not alone. There's no scandal, no shouting, just a quiet tension in the air, like a rope pulled too tight. Your mother tells your cousin she'll ruin her chances. Your aunt tells her to stop acting like a poem. Your sister tells her to be careful where she bleeds. Your cousin doesn't respond. She just hums a song that sounds like goodbye. In this world, love is not sweet. It is sharp. It stains. It leaves marks deeper than teeth. There is no word for boyfriend, no word for crush, only names etched into stone or erased. Some stories end in marriage, others in exile. Some are buried with the rest of history, whispered only to the walls that never tell. But even in silence, the heart speaks, and even shadows, when touched, cast heat. Temple virgins, secret rites, and the power of being watched. You walk past the temple and feel it before you see it. Not the structure itself, though it rises like a mountain of shadowed stone, but the weight of attention, the sense that you're being watched, measured, sifted, as if the very dust underfoot knows who you are and whether you're meant to cross the threshold. The priests call it sacred presence. Your aunt calls it trouble. The temple is not for the likes of you. But today you've been summoned, not to the sanctuary, not to the altar, but to the women's quarters, the part of the temple few speak of and fewer understand. They call it the quiet place. And the girls who serve there, they are not quite daughters, not quite wives. They are something stranger, something set apart. The temple virgins. You've heard stories, everyone has, that they sleep on papyrus mats and dream of gods, that they bleed blue instead of red, that they can curse a man's crops with a glance. But you also know they wear perfume laced with opium, speak in riddles, and never marry. You know they sing songs that no one else is allowed to hear, songs older than the pyramids, older than memory. Your cousin once said those songs aren't prayers at all, but instructions. For what? No one says. You're greeted by a girl your age, barefoot, eyes rimmed with malachite. Her head is shaven, save for a single braid wrapped in gold thread. Her tunic is white, starched, spotless. She doesn't smile, but she doesn't frown either. Her face is a mask of silence. She leads you through an archway that seems to breathe when you pass through it. The air inside is cool, spiced with myrrh and something sharper, perhaps crushed lotus or burnt salt. The walls are covered in symbols, ankhs, serpents, spirals, eyes. Not just painted, etched. Carved so deeply the grooves feel like they could swallow your fingers whole. Your escort places a finger to her lips. Not a warning, a rule. The inner chamber is dim. A dozen girls sit in a circle, weaving cloth by the light of a single oil lamp. The fabric is delicate, too fine for robes or bed sheets. It's not for mortals, your guide whispers. It's for the dead. Their task is to prepare linen for the high priest's burial rites, but it must be woven under vows of silence, washed in Nile water at dawn and dried only in moonlight. If any step is broken, the linen is burned and the weaver begins again. You're told to watch, nothing more, but you feel something shift in the air around you. The girls begin to hum. It starts low, a tone really, barely more than breath. Then it grows, layers upon layers, rising and folding into each other like waves over sand. No words, just sound. Sound that burrows under your skin, into the corners of your bones. It is not beautiful. It is not frightening. It is necessary. A ritual, not for the gods, but for themselves. One girl opens her eyes during the humming, just briefly. Her gaze finds yours and holds it. Then she closes them again and continues weaving. Your heart is still racing when the song ends. Your guide takes you to a corner of the room. There, set into the stone, is a basin filled with water and petals. You're told to wash your hands. When you do, the petals darken slightly. Truth leaves color, she says. You don't ask what it means. Next, she gives you a reed stylus and a scrap of ostraca, pottery shard. Write what you've seen, she says, but do not name yourself. You hesitate. What have you seen? Silence, obedience, power. You write something vague. She takes it, nods once, and burns it in the flame of the oil lamp. Before you leave, the girl places something into your palm, a tiny bead of lapis lazuli. No string, no hole. Keep it, she says, if you ever feel unseen. Then she vanishes behind the curtain. Your escort returns. No words are exchanged. You are led back out into the blinding sun, where everything feels louder and heavier than before. You glance down at the bead. It's warm in your hand, as if it remembers. Later that night, you dream of the temple, but not of the gods. You dream of the girls, braiding hair, singing wordless songs, weaving cloth that can never be worn. You wake to find the bead under your pillow, even though you remember placing it on your shelf. You don't tell anyone. Some parts of the temple never truly let you leave, and some eyes never stop watching. Sorcery, spitting, and the secrets under your bed. You wake before dawn with the strange sense that someone has been whispering in your ear. But the house is silent. Not peacefully silent, watchfully, like it's holding its breath. The eye on the wall is unusually dark this morning. No flicker of reflection, just shadow. The incense stub at its base has crumbled to ash. Your mother hasn't replaced it yet. You wonder if she's testing something, or afraid to. You stretch out your legs and something shifts beneath your mat. You freeze. There it is again, a tiny scrape, a shuffle of grit on clay. You peel back the mat and find it, a palm-sized figurine wrapped in black thread, nestled in a knot of crushed garlic and hair. Your stomach turns. Someone has placed a spell under your bed. It's not uncommon. These charms, called Heka, are the oldest language in Egypt. Older than prayer, older than gods. Heka isn't just magic. It's power made physical, spoken words with weight, objects that hum with unseen intent. Your grandmother used to say everyone casts spells, even if they don't know it. A kiss before a journey, a hand placed on the doorframe before leaving, a phrase repeated to calm a child. But this is no innocent charm. This is a binding. You show the figurine to your aunt. She doesn't flinch. She doesn't ask who found it or why it was there. She simply nods and says, "Burn the garlic, bury the thread, crush the clay." You ask what it means. She sighs. It means someone wants something they shouldn't. Your cousin thinks it's jealousy. Your sister thinks it's protection. You're not sure. The figurine has no face, just a hole where eyes should be. And even after it's gone, your mat feels colder. Later that day, you pass the neighbor's wall and see a woman spitting on the ground 3 times, murmuring something under her breath. Her child follows, doing the same, though with less conviction. They say spitting wards off evil. It sends it back where it came from. And when combined with salt or fire, even curses must turn away. Your mother sometimes spits before opening a sealed jar. Your aunt spits when she hears bad news. You're starting to understand why. You remember the stories whispered during the hottest afternoons, when the sun made work impossible and people hid indoors. A man who lost his voice after stepping over a child's toy left on purpose. A woman whose hair turned white overnight after she insulted a cat during a full moon. A child who was never the same after drinking water that had once reflected a dead person's face. These stories weren't told for fun. They were warnings. Because in Egypt, words create reality, and silence is a kind of armor. You search your own possessions that night. Nothing is where you left it. Not dramatically so, just slightly off. Your comb has moved. Your sandals are facing the wrong direction. The reed pen you always tuck under your sleeping mat is missing. You don't tell anyone. Instead, you light a stub of resin and let the smoke swirl over your bed. You whisper a name, not yours, but one you've heard in dreams. The air tightens. A breeze moves through the room, though no window is open. The eye on the wall seems to blink. You sleep anyway. At market the next day, you find a woman selling dried frogs and bundles of crushed henna. She offers you a charm, 3 knotted reeds bound with red thread. Protection from envy, she says. You ask, what if it's not envy? She grins, revealing a missing tooth. Then it's love, and love is worse. You buy the charm, not because you believe her, but because belief isn't required, just intention. You hang the charm above your mat. That night, you dream of a garden with no walls and someone calling your name from behind a fig tree. You walk toward the voice, but your feet sink into the ground like wet clay. When you wake, the red thread is wrapped around your wrist. You didn't put it there. Your sister finds her own charm 2 days later. A piece of linen soaked in wine and vinegar, hidden in the folds of her tunic. She burns it without speaking. Her face is unreadable. The goat refuses to enter the house that evening. Just stands at the door staring in. Your mother finally relights the incense at the base of the eye. And you? You whisper thank you. To the smoke, to the thread, to whatever is watching, just in case it's listening. Midwives, moon blood, and the price of becoming a woman. There are only 2 kinds of people who get to speak freely in your village. Old men and midwives. And only one of them gets listened to. The midwife walks through the market with a crooked back and sharp eyes. Children part for her, women lower their voices. Even the priests nod, if only slightly. She's seen too much, held too many secrets, pulled too many babies, blue and red and silent, from the darkness into the light. And for that, the gods grant her certain liberties. Your mother says never cross a midwife. Your grandmother said always offer one your second slice of bread. Your sister just says she knows things. The midwife's name is Sati, but no one calls her that. She is Nenet, a title older than her bones. She speaks in metaphors, tells fortunes with salt and garlic, carries a pouch of dried herbs that smells like copper and rot. You once saw her touch a boy's wrist and whisper 3 words, and he stopped stuttering the next day. She has no children of her own. Some say she gave her fertility to the gods in exchange for sight. Some say it was taken. When your cousin began bleeding for the first time, it was Nenet who came. Not your mother, not your aunt. She arrived with a clay bowl and a folded cloth. No questions, no judgment. Just the quiet presence of someone who has seen it all before. Your cousin cried, not from pain, but from shame. It's a gift, Nenet said, pressing a warm stone to her belly. But like most gifts from the gods, it costs more than it gives. She then burned incense in a cracked dish and drew symbols in ash on the floor. You asked what they meant. Protection, she said. From what? From becoming. Blood means more than just blood here. When a girl bleeds, the world shifts. She's no longer invisible. Eyes linger, voices change. The air seems thicker. You remember your own first time, how your legs shook, how you tried to hide it, how your sister held your hand and said, "Welcome to the secret," because that's what it is. A secret club no one wants to join, but everyone does. Eventually. There are rules now. No swimming in the Nile during your moon days. No carrying raw fish. No sleeping with your head facing the doorway. You must bury your cloths outside the home. Always at night. Always under moonlight. Never in the east corner. No one explains why. Nenet says rules don't need reasons, only memories. Some say blood draws spirits, that the moment it leaves your body, it becomes a beacon, calling things best left forgotten. The eye on your wall seems to shimmer differently now. The goat avoids you during those days. Even the scarab beetles seem to change their paths. Your aunt hangs garlic at the windows. Your mother sprinkles ash near your mat. You do not ask questions. But it's not all fear. There's power in it too. Quiet, unseen power. Nenet teaches you how to make tinctures, crushed herbs steeped in old wine. She teaches you the pressure points in your palm that relieve cramps. She shows you how to fold linen in ways that don't leak. And when no one else is listening, she tells you something else. You can plant a seed now, not just in the earth, but in the world. You ask what that means. She says you'll know when it happens. One night during your moon time, you dream of Bastet, cat goddess, lady of protection and hidden fury. In the dream, she sits beside your mat and licks her paw. Then she looks at you with gold eyes and says, "Not yet, but soon." You wake with your sheets twisted and your hair damp. You feel heavy but not ill, just full, like something is waiting. You light incense. You whisper her name, and the smoke curls toward the eye on the wall. Your cousin stops bleeding for 2 months. Everyone notices. No one speaks of it. Nenet visits with dried fig and bitter tea. 3 days later, your cousin cries for hours with no sound. The next morning, the rooster is gone. So is the goat. Your mother scrubs the floor with vinegar. Your aunt breaks the water jar. No one asks why. That night, Nenet sits beside your mat. She doesn't look at you. She just says, "Some women are born with open doors, others with locked ones. Neither is safe." You ask which you are. She laughs. "Ask me again in a year." Then she hums a lullaby that your grandmother used to sing, a tune that sounds like endings and beginnings braided together. You sleep, and the walls once again remember. Sandstone, shame, and the Hall of 1,000 Judgments. There is a hall in the city, not a temple, not a home, where judgment lives, not legal judgment. That belongs to the scribes and priests. This is older, quieter, harsher. It's the place where women walk in silence and leave with a mark. Not a scar, not a brand, but a weight. Something that settles in their chest and stays. You don't know what the building is called. No one does. It has no name, no sign, just smooth sandstone walls and an open archway that never closes. Some call it the listening hall. Others call it the room of salt. But your aunt calls it the hall of 1,000 judgments, because every woman who enters leaves with at least 1,000 more thoughts than she brought. You first notice it when your neighbor's daughter disappears for 3 days. When she returns, her hair is cut short and her wrists are wrapped in linen. Her eyes don't meet yours. Her mother doesn't let her carry water for a week. Later, you overhear whispers. She spoke of a dream. She touched the wrong jar. She claimed a god kissed her while she slept. You ask your sister what it means. She just says, she went to the sandstone hall. That night, your mother burns salt near the door. The next time, it's your cousin, caught kissing a boy behind the granary. No one's surprised, but that doesn't matter. The elders decide she must see the walls. That's what they call it, seeing the walls, as if they hold truth in their carvings. She returns pale, eyes rimmed red. No one scolds her, but no one asks if she's all right either. Later, she tells you what she saw. I thought I was alone, she says, but I wasn't. You ask who was there. Women, she says, 100 of them, maybe more, all silent, all watching. You think maybe it's an exaggeration, until the day you're summoned yourself. You haven't done anything wrong, at least not that you know of. But sometimes that doesn't matter. Sometimes just being is enough. The scribe tells you, the temple has requested your presence. You ask why. He shrugs. The gods know, or perhaps your neighbors. That night your stomach aches. You dream of sandstone and eyes carved into walls. When you arrive, the sun is high, but the hall is dark. The shadows are cool and thick. There is no door, just an arch, and beyond it, a corridor of columns carved with names. Names of women, not queens, not priestesses, just women. Some names are crossed out, some are underlined, some are nearly erased. A woman in white leads you inside. She doesn't speak. She gestures to a bench. You sit, you wait. The walls breathe. They don't ask questions. Instead, they bring objects. A broken necklace, a torn cloth, a shard of obsidian, a reed pen with blood on the handle. Each item is placed before you, one at a time. You are expected to say nothing, to feel, to let your silence speak for itself. It does. It always does. After a while, a voice behind you murmurs, "Have you been kissed without asking?" You flinch. Then, have you kissed someone who did not want it? The questions come slowly, like water dripping into a clay pot. Have you looked too long? Have you felt shame for someone else's hands? Have you swallowed words that were not yours? Have you called it a dream when it was something else? No names are given, no accusations, just questions and silence. At some point you cry. Everyone does. Not loud, not messy, just weeping. Quiet, steady. You think of the girl with the shorn hair, of your cousin and her red eyes, of every woman who walks with weight but never explains why. And you understand, this hall isn't for punishment, it's for carrying, for holding the things too heavy for one heart, and for pressing them into stone so they won't be forgotten. When you leave, they hand you a stone, small, smooth, the color of bone. You're told, keep it, bury it, or throw it into the Nile. Whatever you choose, it will remember. You clutch it tightly, feeling its weight settle in your palm, then in your spine. When you reach your home, the eye on the wall seems to look away. Your mother doesn't ask where you've been. She just lays a hand on your shoulder and hums a tune you haven't heard since you were small. You fall asleep with the stone beneath your pillow. In the morning, it's gone, but you feel no lighter. Incense, illness, and the night the moon didn't rise. It begins with a cough, just one, software barely worth noticing, then another, then 5 more. By the end of the week, half the alley is coughing. Children, elders, even the rooster. You joke that even the Beatles sound hoarse. But your mother doesn't laugh. She seals the door with ash and salt, lights incense 3 times a day instead of once, sends your brother to fetch dried lotus root, and old honey from the apothecary's stall before the prices climb. You don't ask what's wrong, because you already know. Something is moving through the village, and it's not just the wind. The sickness doesn't smell like death, not at first. It smells like damp linen, like clay after rain, like the corner of a storage room that hasn't seen light in years. Your neighbor's baby won't eat. Your aunt hasn't left her mat in 2 days. The midwife walks faster now, with darker circles beneath her eyes. People stop whispering spells. They start chanting them. Your mother scrapes dried resin into the incense dish until the smoke makes your throat burn. Your sister ties a red ribbon around the base of the water jar. Your brother buries the scarab he found in the bread basket. You ask why. No reason, your mother says. Just in case. At night, the air is heavier, and the moon does not rise. No one says it aloud, but you feel it. The absence. The void where the soft light should have pooled across rooftops and reeds. Children cry without knowing why. Dogs refuse to bark. Even the ibis are quiet. That night, Nanette, the midwife, comes to your home without being called. She doesn't knock, just enters, places a bowl of ash and lemon at the center of the room, and begins to hum. Your mother joins her, then your aunt. You watch as they draw symbols in the air with their fingers. Circles, crosses, eyes, spirals. A private language that doesn't need explaining. A language older than fear. You wake coughing, hard, deep. Your ribs ache. Your mother presses warm cloth to your chest and speaks to the wall instead of to you. You're not scared, not exactly, just aware of how thin the line is between health and fever, between day and night, between presence and absence. The air tastes like charcoal, your mouth is dry, and still the moon does not come. The next morning, a boy is gone, not dead, just gone. His family says he wandered out during the night. The sand covered his tracks. No one saw where he went. Later, your sister tells you she saw him the night before, standing by the river whispering to something no one else could see. They say sickness isn't always in the blood. Sometimes it starts in the thoughts. Sometimes it starts in dreams. Your dreams change. Now you dream of water that runs backward, of cats that speak in riddles, of temples that breathe. In one dream, the moon sits in your lap like an egg, warm, fragile, cracked. You wake with tears on your cheeks and the scent of myrrh in your hair. You haven't burned incense in days. On the 5th night, the moon returns. Dimensois wan, but present. People weep when they see it, even the old men, even the scribes. Your mother lights every stick of incense in the house until the air is thick and golden and sweet. She bathes your forehead with oil and sings you a lullaby your grandmother once sang to the goat. Your sister places dried mint beneath your mat. Nanette visits again. She smiles this time. Not relief exactly, but something near it. You were never in danger, she says. Then why the spells? She shrugs. Sometimes it's not about fixing. Sometimes it's about witnessing. You don't understand, not fully, but you feel different now, like something passed through you. Not illness, but awareness, a closeness to something unseen, something sacred. That night, you don't light incense. You let the dark be dark. You let the silence stretch. And as the moonlight spills across the floor like milk, you whisper, "Thank you, whoever you were."
Sacred baths, shaved heads, and the gods who never blushed. The temple smells like cool stone, copper oil, and wet reeds. Your feet slap softly against the polished floor, every step echoing louder than your breath. You are not alone, but it feels that way. Sacred places always do. They strip away noise, and you along with it. Today is your purification, not for sin, for service. You've been chosen. At least that's what your mother says. Your aunt muttered something more cryptic. The gods don't choose. They notice. You're not sure what that means, but you don't ask. Here, you don't speak unless spoken to. The priestesses are already waiting. They wear linen robes, so fine they seem afloat. Their heads are shaved, their wrists adorned with copper rings that clink as they move. They don't smile, not out of cruelty, but because reverence has no room for grins. One of them gestures toward the basin. It's carved from a single block of alabaster. Water glimmers inside, rippling without cause. You remove your tunic. You shiver, not from cold, but from being seen. But no one stares. No one gawks. Because here, the body isn't scandal. It's a vessel. The bath is silent. No soap, no scrubbing. Just water poured from jars held high. Warm, scented with lotus and eucalyptus. They wash you like one might wash a statue. Deliberately, with pauses between each movement. You close your eyes. You imagine this is what stone feels before it's carved. Afterward, your hair is taken. A curved blade, sharper than a whisper, glides across your scalp. The sound is soft, a whisper of silk torn in slow motion. No ceremony, no chant, just a quiet rhythm of change. When they're done, they anoint your head with oil and paint a single blue line down the center of your scalp. A path for the gods, one priestess whispers. In case they forget where to find you, then comes the linen. Clean, white, bound tight across your chest, your waist, your arms. You are wrapped like a scroll. Only your face remains exposed. Only your eyes are still yours. They place a necklace of faience beads around your throat. And just like that, you're no longer someone's daughter or sister or neighbor. You are an offering. The temple is quiet but alive. Incense curls through narrow halls. Statues blink when you're not looking. Cats slink beneath pillars, vanishing into shadows. You pass rooms filled with gold, rooms filled with bones, and one room filled only with sand. No one explains. They don't need to, because here, understanding isn't given. It's earned. You are shown to your duties. You sweep, you carry water, you fold linen, you refill oil lamps. You hum sacred songs, the ones with no lyrics, just breath and tone and memory. But one day, you are told to join the procession. A visiting noble has brought offerings. The gods must be pleased. And so you will dance, not wildly, not with abandon, but slowly, deliberately, arms extended, fingers curved, steps echoing like heartbeats. You move as if the gods are watching, because they are, or because someone is pretending to be one of them. Later, a priest takes your hand. His smile is soft. His touch is not. He says, "You move like Hatha today." You do not answer. He leans closer. Do you know what Hatha desires most? You meet his eyes. You think of Nennet. You think of salt. You think of the sandstone hall. You say nothing. He walks away, and you are praised later for your silence. That night, in the servants' quarters, you scrub the paint from your scalp and ask the girl beside you how long she served. She shrugs. Long enough to forget where I came from. Is that good? She doesn't answer. She just hands you a vial of blue paint. For tomorrow, she says, in case you still want them to find you. As you lie on your mat, the air thick with oil and sweat and secrets, you wonder if the gods ever feel shame. You wonder if they watch you bathe and feel anything at all. You wonder if, in all their immortality, they ever look at each other and whisper, "That was too far." But then you remember the stories of Isis tricking Ra, of Set ripping Osiris apart, of Horus gouging out his own eye. No, the gods don't blush. That's a luxury for mortals. Forbidden scrolls, wombs of clay, and the curse with no name. There's a locked chamber beneath the Temple of Thoth. Few know it exists. Few are still seen inside. It smells like dust and beeswax and something older, something not quite dead but no longer alive. The air is dry, crackling with quiet tension, like a spell mid-sentence. You enter with a priest named Iamai. He says nothing on the way down, only gestures for you to carry the oil lamp and not to breathe too hard. The stairs spiral like a snail's shell, tighter with each step. At the bottom, a door, not a grand one, not gilded or painted, just wood, cracked and dry, held shut by a knot of hair tied around a nail. You hesitate. He cuts the hair. The door opens without a sound. Inside are shelves, hundreds of them. Stone, not wood. Each shelf holds bundles wrapped in linen. No labels, no scroll tags. Some are fat, bulging like overstuffed lungs. Others are brittle, sagging like old skin. These are the forbidden scrolls, the ones not meant for the living. Why are we here? You whisper. To clean, he says. You know he's lying, but you follow anyway. He shows you the rules. Do not unroll anything. Do not read out loud. Do not bleed. That last one makes you pause. He doesn't explain. He doesn't need to, because as you brush dust from a scroll tied with copper wire, your fingers tingle like something is noticing you back. You wrap the scroll again, tighter than before. Later, you ask about one bundle in particular. It's thicker, bound in black linen, instead of white. It hums faintly when your hand passes near, like a beehive buried in stone. That one, Ayamai says, frowning, that one is not a scroll. What is it? He hesitates. Then, a womb. You stare. Like a body? No, he says, like an idea, one waiting to be born. You do not ask again, but that night you dream of it. The black linen unwinds. Inside is not parchment, but clay, shaped like a belly, hollow, cracked. You reach into it and pull out your own name, spelled backwards. Burning. You wake gasping, your hands covered in fine dust. The priest says nothing the next day, but he hands you gloves and avoids your eyes. Whispers follow you for days. Servants mutter when you pass. One girl drops her broom and flees when your shadow crosses hers. A boy leaves garlic outside your sleeping chamber. You begin to notice animals avoid you. The cat that once curled at your feet now hisses. The rooster will not crow in your direction. You ask Ayamai what it means. He says, it means the scrolls remember you. One evening, you find a scrap tucked into your robe. Not linen, not papyrus. Skin, human? You don't ask. On it, drawn in black pigment, a symbol, a triangle within a circle, split down the middle. You recognize it from the temple wall, the one chamber you were never allowed to enter. Beneath it, scrawled in hieratic script, the name is inside you now. Do not speak it. You try to laugh, but your voice catches, because deep in your chest, where breath lives, something curls. Not pain, not fear, just awareness, like someone watching from behind your ribs. The next time you return to the chamber, Ayamai is gone. His lamp is there, still burning, still warm, but no footprints lead away. You search for hours, call his name, whisper apologies, offer prayers. Nothing answers, only the shelves, and the black linen bundle, which now sits at the very edge of the table, as if waiting. You don't unwrap it, but you speak to it. You don't know why. You just do. You tell it your fears, your name, the taste of your dreams, the lullaby your grandmother hummed when you were sick. The stone beneath you feels warmer. The room no longer hums. It listens. When you leave, no one stops you. No one looks. But the next morning, someone has scrawled something outside your sleeping chamber. A symbol, your symbol. But this time, it's glowing faintly. You don't touch it. You don't wash it away. You simply sit and whisper, I will carry you. Whatever you are, night markets, love potions, and the feather of truth, you're not supposed to be out this late. The alleys whisper warnings with every gust of wind. The rooftops loom like crouched beasts. Even the cats have gone silent, no longer curious, just watchful. But you're not here for safety. You're here for something much older, much stranger. A promise whispered into your ear 3 nights ago. If you want truth, the old woman said, go to the market when the moon tips like a smile. Ask for the boy who sells shadows. You thought it nonsense until you found the feather. It wasn't just any feather. It shimmered in the dark, soft, pale, perfect, left beneath your mat like a gift or a warning. You knew then that it had to be a sign. From Maat, the goddess of truth and order, or from something pretending to be her. So now here you are, sand in your sandals, oil in your pocket, fear in your throat. The night market lives behind the cemetery wall. It doesn't advertise. It doesn't open with drums or flutes or smoke. It just is. One moment, an alley. The next, a corridor of lamps and linen. Incense so thick it clings to your bones. Women with tattooed cheeks hum to jars that glow faintly blue. Men with glass eyes trade amulets for hair. Children carry trays of things that twitch. You walk slowly, eyes down, but someone calls to you. You dream loudly, a voice rasps. Careful who hears. You find the boy selling shadows. He's younger than you, eyes milky, skin like papyrus soaked in ink. His wares hang from wooden hooks, black shapes cut from leather, soot, and something else you don't recognize. Which one's mine, you ask. He points to a shape that looks eerily like your silhouette, but taller, and it shifts slightly when you look away. What does it cost? He doesn't ask for coin. He asks for your most painful memory. You hesitate, then speak it aloud. The day you stopped believing your father would return. The boy nods. He wraps the shadow in bark and gives you something else. A vial, tiny, sealed with wax, filled with pink liquid that swirls like smoke. Drink only when the heart is ready, he says. Back home, you hide the vial in your mat. But that night, you dream of it opening itself, of the liquid pouring into your mouth while you sleep, of waking with your tongue heavy, your lips tinged with gold, of knowing too much. You seek counsel the next day from a toothless woman named Citra, who claims she one-stitched spells into sandals. She examines a feather, the vial, the bark-wrapped shadow, then laughs. A love potion, she declares. You blink. For who? She shrugs. Maybe yourself. She boils lotus petals in a cracked bowl and tells you, truth is not about answers. It's about what you're ready to lose. You thank her. You do not understand. The vial stays unopened for days. You carry it in a pouch around your neck, close to your heartbeat, but you begin to feel watched, not by people, by ideas, by questions. Do you want truth? Or do you want comfort? Are they ever the same? You visit the temple, not to pray, but to confess. You hold the feather before the statue of Ma'at and say, I don't know what I'm doing. The priestess smiles softly. Good, she says. Neither did we when we carve her. She places a single reed scale on the altar and says, put your heart on one side, the truth on the other. See what rises. You tell her you don't have your heart. She nods. That is also truth. That night, you light 3 sticks of incense. One for fear, one for desire, one for whatever lies between. You unseal the vial. The scent is sharp. Sweet. Too sweet. You drink it. It tastes like salt and memory. Like goodbye. Like a song you forgot halfway through. You don't sleep. You see. Your mother's face when she first realized the gods didn't always answer. Your brother's silence after burying the cat. The moment your shadow first bent the wrong way. And the whisper that's been inside you all along. You are both question and answer. When dawn comes, you find the feather has turned to stone. The vial is empty. The market is gone. But the truth remains. You were never seeking love. You were seeking weightlessness. The kind that comes when your heart no longer needs to be measured. Temple courtyards, lingering touches, and the price of being chosen. The courtyard is quiet but not empty. A breeze passes through the stone columns like a ghost with nowhere else to be. The scent of crushed hibiscus clings to the ground. Sunlight filters through slatted palm roofs, falling in golden slices across the tile floor. You kneel, not because anyone told you to, because it feels wrong to stand here. This is where the gods breathe, or where people pretend they do. The priest arrives with bare feet and a voice like dried honey. You've been seen, he says. You blink. Seen. Chosen, he clarifies, but also watched. He offers you a small dish, dates soaked in wine, a slice of figure a single black beetle. For clarity, he says, you eat everything except the beetle. He nods. Wise. Your duties shift after that. You're no longer just sweeping floors or refilling oil lamps. Now you're present during rituals. Close. Too close. You hold jars that smell like iron and almond. You fan smoke toward idols with wings carved from obsidian. You press ochre into the foreheads of kneeling nobles. They don't look at you, but one priest does. Always. His gaze is not cruel, not warm, either. Just steady, like you are a passage in a scroll he's read too many times. You find reasons to avoid him, until one day there are none. You are summoned, not by name, just a symbol scratched into your sleeping mat, a feather beneath an eye. You follow the path lit by oiled dishes, past closed doors, through a hall that smells of milk and myrrh. At the end, a chamber shaped like a tear. Inside him, and a question. Do you feel it? You hesitate. Then the wait? He nods. So, do you? He tells you about the ones before you. About girls who saw too much. Boys who listened too well. Names that were scrubbed from records so thoroughly, even the dust forgot them. Being chosen, he says, isn't always about favor. He touches your wrist. It's gentle, intentional. You don't pull away, but you don't lean in either. He removes his hand and says, you can still leave. You believe him, and yet you stay. The temple changes after that. Or maybe you do. You begin to hear things in the silence. Phrases half said by statues, warnings in the way incense curls. One morning, you wake with sand in your mouth. Not grit, not soil, sand. From the courtyard, where no one walks barefoot after dark. You check your feet. They're clean, but your heart is not. You dream of hands, painted gold, reaching from the murals, pulling you forward. Not cruelly, lovingly, hungrily. You ask the priest what it means. He says, you've been accepted. You don't know if he's relieved or afraid. Neither do you. You begin to glow, not literally, but people notice. The beggar outside the temple bows when you pass. The kitchen girl averts her eyes. Even cats make a wide arc around you. You mention this to the priest. He says, once you carry the touch of the divine, the world forgets your shadow. You wonder what you've lost. Your old name? Your home? Your reflection? You haven't looked in a mirror for days. Not out of fear, out of uncertainty. You're not sure who will look back. Then one day, a gift arrives, wrapped in silk the color of Nile dusk. Inside, a comb made of bone, not carved, grown. Its teeth are human, tiny, perfect. There's a note in familiar handwriting. Every chosen pays. This is your receipt. You return the comb to its silk. You do not scream. You simply sit. And for the first time, you pray, not to be chosen, to be forgotten. But the gods don't forget. And the price is never just paid once. Moonlight confessions, linen masks, and the day the statues cried. You're not sure when it started. Maybe it was the first night the wind carried your name in reverse. Or the first time the temple's brazier hissed when you stepped too close. But now you feel it everywhere. In your footsteps, your shadow, even the moments between blinks. You're no longer just someone chosen. You're becoming something else. It's moonless tonight. The temple is asleep. You wander the outer gardens barefoot, feeling the pebbles press into your soles like silent prayers. There's no one here but the statues. Stone bodies twisted in reverence and warning. Faces worn smooth by wind and worship. You stop at one, Hathor, her cow horn crown half-cracked, her smile still intact. You whisper, "Do you remember me?" And the wind answers. They've asked you to wear the linen mask. A formality, they said, a rite of purification. You don't argue. The mask is thin, smelling of salt and copper. It ties behind your ears and presses against your lips like a second skin. Through the gauze, the world turns soft. Muted, false. You're told to enter the sanctuary alone. A room where only the high priest and the dead are permitted. You step inside. It's warm, too warm, as if something is breathing behind the walls. At the center, a basin of oil. Thick, dark, reflective. You kneel beside it. The priestess tells you, "Look in and tell us who stares back." You do, and what you see is not your face. Not entirely. It's your features, yes, but softened, stretched. Your eyes are too wide. Your mouth is slightly open, as if mid-whisper. And behind you, a shape that shifts, A figure with no eyes, no mouth, only a hand, reaching forward. You blink, it's gone. When you turn, the priestess is gone too. Only the statues remain. Sekhmet, Isis, Ma'at, each one slick with something that glistens. At first you think it's oil, but then you smell salt, and you understand the statues are weeping, not crying in sorrow, not in pain. Something else, as if witnessing you, hurts, or heals, or both. You whisper again, I didn't ask for this. No one answers, but the tears keep falling. You leave the sanctuary and return to your sleeping mat. The linen mask still clings to your skin. You pull it off slowly and find a mark right between your brows. Faint, red, circular. Not a wound, not paint, just a reminder. You wash your face. The mark remains. In your dream, the mark opens. Not like a wound, but like an eye. It sees things you buried. The time you stole from the offering bowl. The lie you told about the dream that wasn't yours. The secret name you whispered into the wall when no one was listening. The eye does not blink, and neither do you. You wait to find your hands soaked in oil, the same oil from the basin, and your mat stained in a perfect spiral. Your sibling won't look at you. Your mother hums a song you haven't heard since you were 5, and the family cat won't sleep near your feet anymore. You return to the sanctuary at dusk, not to pray, to apologize, but the statues are gone. Only their pedestals remain, and where the basin once stood, now lies a folded cloth. Inside it, another mask, but this one is gold, solid, weighty, no holes for eyes, only silence. A note sits beneath it. No ink, just indentations. You run your fingers across the words. Wear it or never speak again. You don't know who left it. You don't know who you are anymore. But when you hold a mask up to your face, it fits perfectly. The final ritual, desire, dust, and the name buried backwards. You stand at the edge of the desert, not the one of dunes and caravans, but the hidden one, a patch of land behind the temple, where no footprints last longer than a day and no sound echoes back. The priestess called it the threshold, the place where names go to forget themselves. She hands you a bundle. Inside, a garment you've never worn, but which smells unmistakably like you. A jar of honey, sealed with black wax, and a papyrus scroll, blank. You are told to walk until you see the vultures. Then stop, lie down, and wait. No one follows you, but something watches. The wind grows teeth. The sun hums like a hot blade. You walk for what feels like hours, maybe years. Then suddenly you see them, 6 vultures, perfectly spaced, facing away from you, waiting. You kneel, then lie down. The sand accepts your body as if it's been waiting. The garment clings. The jar of honey pulses with warmth. You place it on your chest and unroll the blank scroll beside you. It begins to write itself, not in ink, in dust. Letters form slowly, backwards, as if the desert itself is unnaming you. You feel the weight of every moment you've lived here pressing into your ribs. The first meal with your mother, the eye on the wall that blinked, the boy who sold shadows, the night the gods wept, the kiss that wasn't a kiss, the mask that made you forget your own face. Each memory rises, then crumbles, like statues exposed to centuries of wind. The honey jar cracks open. It spills over your chest, seeping into your garment, your skin, your name. A warmth spreads through your limbs. Not pain, not pleasure. Something in between. Something holy. The vultures take flight. Not away from you. Around you. They circle in slow spirals, casting flickering shadows across your face. You close your eyes, and in the darkness behind your lids, something begins. A voice, familiar, yours but older, not echoing, but folding in. It speaks the final words. Let the body be forgotten. Let the desire remain. And then, nothing. You wake, but not where you began. Your home is gone. The temple is gone. Your hands are clean. Too clean. Not even calluses remain. A river flows nearby, quiet, shallow, as if waiting for a decision. You kneel beside it. Your reflection stares back. No mask, no mark, just you, but not you. A version of yourself with no story. A new scroll. You open your mouth, but no sound comes. Only breath, only wind. You look down and see the blank scroll beside you. A single line has appeared, written in dust. Backwards. You read it aloud, and for the first time, you remember your name. Not the one your mother gave you. The one the gods whispered into the sand. The one buried backwards, so no one could steal it. You stand. The vultures are gone, but the sky carries their shape. You walk toward the river, unsure if you're returning or beginning, and you realize that is the gift. Not knowing, but continuing. Insert soft music cue. Thank you for staying with me until the end of tonight's untold journey. If your eyes are growing heavy and your thoughts are drifting like papyrus boats down the Nile, I hope you found a little wonder, a little peace, maybe even a little part of yourself among the dust and whispers of ancient Egypt. There are still so many stories left to tell, some hidden in forgotten tombs, others buried in the quiet lives of everyday people, waiting for someone like you to hear them. So if this journey felt meaningful to you, consider gently tapping like or subscribing, not out of habit, but because you want to come back. And I'd love to have you here when we uncover the next forgotten corner of the ancient world. Until then, sleep softly, dream boldly, and may the old gods watch kindly over your night.